corrals is he'll start backing up as fast as he possibly can to basically to not have to go.
Yep, that's barn sour. That's very
Yeah.
common. That's just called barn sour, right? So what you want to do is not force him to go out. So here's the thing. Again, like I always say, is don't plan on your trail ride when you know he's going to do that,
Yeah.
because then that screws up your trail ride. And you keep going, I got to get on my trail ride. You got to go. So you got to go address that in a controlled environment when you don't have to go, when there's not the pressure that you need to go.
Right.
So what I would do is on a barn soured horse, it's just the opposite of what you think. Take him back to the barn, ride him right back to where he wants to go, and get him very busy while you're riding him. Just ride him around. I mean, ride him around at a trot. I mean, you don't punish him. Just say, hey, you want to go back to the barn? Let's party on. Ride around, ride around, ride around, and then pretty soon he's going, well, this is not what I thought. I was going back to the barn because I usually get peace, and you leave me alone there. See, that's what he's thinking. So it's a shift in the thought, and what you do is as soon as you kind of go like this, I do a bunch of. That's why all this kind of work would be good. You can roll the hindquarters, send him in a circle, stop him, get the front quarters, all those things that we're working on. So you can be working on your maneuvers, right? While you're doing two things at one time. What you're really doing is you're getting him busy there, and then you're going to show him where it's not busy by turning his head away from where he thinks is peace. Then you show him peace. You quit riding, and at first he's not even going to understand. He'll just keep turning back. It's like that magnet. He'll keep turning back, and pretty soon you think, that Jeff doesn't know what he's talking about. But don't weaken it. Sometimes it'll take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depends on how sour they are. But every time they go away, and let it be his decision. You don't force him away and then do it. So he's coming around here. There's his piece right there. There's the barn. As he's coming around, right there, as he's going away, you just quit riding and rub him. And at first, it won't make any difference to him. He'll turn right around. You say, cool. You don't block him. You say, let's go. And then you put him to work. In other words, you make it more difficult for him to stay there and more peaceful to go this way. Right. And pretty soon, they're shifting their mind, goes, wow, I get peace out here. He leaves me alone when I'm going away from what I thought was peace. Yeah, that's how you do it. You divorce, like this horse and this horse need to be divorced. I call it divorced because they're very good buddies. And you notice how troubled he gets when he leaves. Well, it's the same thing. I would do that, and I'd ride that horse. I'd ride him right over here if it was reversed. And I'd ride that horse around over there by where he thinks is peaceful with his buddy. Then I'd send him over here where he doesn't think it's peaceful in the beginning, but he's going to get peace. And horses ultimately hunt that peace more than they even hunt their buddies. Right. But at first, it's like, I got to have my buddy. Okay, take your buddy. We go to work. Or you can tap peace over here. And once they do it the first time, you got to do it a few times. But every time you do it, it takes less and less time. And the first time he finally decides to stop on his own and he doesn't think about going back to the barn, I would step off of him and not lead him back to the barn. If you have a way to lead him kind of another way, and unsaddle him somewhere far away from the barn and rub on him, just rub on his back and give him a good, like, this is what you get when you go away from the barn. See? Okay. And then pretty soon, that thought, that draw, that magnet to the barn gets less and less until it's zero. But it takes, when they're that bad, if they're backing up, because they'll do anything they can to get back to the barn. Right. And most people say, come on, let's go, and you're kicking them and making them worse, and that just raises their anxiety level to get back to where they think the peace is. Remember, they're thinking, just like I said, they're always thinking about where their comfort is, where their peace is, right? So that's what he's thinking. So if you use that horse behavior, you can just use it to your advantage. Now it takes work. Right. It takes work. So don't plan on going on a trip, going out on the trail if you know he's that way. I wouldn't. I would work on that until you get farther and farther away. In fact, and then finally, when he finally does do it, instead of going on your trail ride, I'd go on a really short trail ride and make it as comfortable out there as you could. In fact, get him a little farther out each day, a little farther out, and pet on him and rub on him, and then I'd call it good. And then because that's a really bad habit. Right. Yeah.
What I had been doing with him is doing circles, and then after, it's usually about 3 or 4 circles, then he'll just walk on.
Yeah, and you can kind of get him going off that way, but you're not going to cure the source. You got to go back to the source of the problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's a band-aid, and that will work temporarily, but it's not going to fix the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So fix the problem where it begins. Yeah.
Okay. I'll work on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we seem to be having we were doing great this morning. And now I don't know if it's my technique, but I'm asking her to lead out,
Mhm.
and what I'm getting is the hindquarters when I'm asking her to circle around me.
Okay. And that's normal because what you've been doing is you've been releasing only after a few steps. So she's already got onto it. If I just walk a couple steps, she's gonna roll my hindquarters, so I'll just roll them for her, right? So she's not wrong.
Right.
So you just say, I appreciate you wanting to roll your hindquarters, but now we're going to kind of develop. Yeah. So all you're going to do, you're all set to drive, right? So if she starts to roll her hindquarters over like that, just say, hey, come on, not yet, not yet, not yet, and then she'll try it 2 or 3 times or more maybe, and then you just gently say, no, we're going forward. You roll those hindquarters when I want you to roll those hindquarters. Okay. So just you just kind of gently blocking it. Say no, wrong answer. No release there. You keep going, and I'll let you know when we're going to roll those hindquarters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I find too, interestingly, I mean, it makes sense, right-handed, left-handed people. So I really notice on when I'm on her right, wow, she moves so freely and so beautifully. But on the left, ooh, it's like a cardboard box.
That's right.
It's tighter.
When you're on her left side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that okay. Yeah. So 2 things that come to mind. First of all, people that we work 99% of the time on our on the horse's left side. All right, we catch them, we bridle them, we get on them from the left side. So 2 things can either happen on that left side. A horse can get really braced up and bothered because they haven't had the proper releases over on that left side when they've been handled. They've just been ignored, and so they get bracy. I call it a brace. There's resistance in there, right? And a lot of that's very common. And then you'll get on the right side where it's still pure. The human hasn't ruined it, and you're going, whoa, yes, this is beautiful. This is soft. So no worries. You just go in there and really be conscious of when you ask and when they try, you release. And you have to break it down into baby steps, probably. Yeah, because and then just even the way you bridle her and halter her, like a lot of times when they get like that, they'll get real resistant and they'll turn their head away when you want to bridle them or put their halter on. I mean, you got to get.
Yeah, we ask her to bend.
Yeah, and then you release. I mean, look at him. That's because I did it over and over. But if he moved his head, my thumb's over here in his neck, right here, and it's not on his neck, but it's ready. It's my backup plan, right? Plan B. So if he went to go over there, and I said, no, I don't want to halter you over there. I don't want to chase you. I just gently stick that thumb right behind his jaw,
Okay.
just enough to cause a movement towards me, right behind the jaw in the soft spot. And you just stick your thumb in there until she moves to you, and then you release your thumb. See, so pretty soon you got your backup plan because you got your arm over there, and pretty soon you don't even need that thumb. She'll just say, "I'll put my head wherever you want me because I get release for that. I get relief." Yeah. So, like I said, if you think about this stuff that you've learned today and yesterday, if nothing else, even if all these maneuvers, if you just think about how the horse would try to understand, you'll be able to get it on your own because it's asking in a proper way, not too much, not too little. You got to find that yourself. Whatever's effective. If you're not doing enough, they're going to stand there ignoring you. If you're doing too much, they're going to get scared and do too much. So you got to find that happy place, that medium, right? That's up to you guys with your horse, and that just takes practice because you start to know your horse and you learn what's too much and what's not enough, and then of course you always release for whatever you're doing, whether it's putting on your halter, going into the pen. If you go into the pen or the corral or whatever, and you're cleaning your manure, and they're being disrespectful, they can ignore you. That's fine. And if they're not doing anything, that's great. But if they're doing something, getting in your space, well, get them out of there, and then they get the relief by getting out of there. So horsemanship is from the moment you go to your horse, whatever you're doing. Doesn't even have to be catching them. So that way you're always conscious of am I inadvertently teaching this horse a bad habit and I don't even know it. So you gotta and if you just observe, remember, and compare. Like I was saying, you go, I think I might change that because that's not working out. Every time I do this, they do that. Well, let's change it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Let's give it a try, girl.
Second and a half rule. Yep. You got to drive. Keep going until her feet go forward, and then you quit driving. Nope. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I mean, tap her on the top of the hip if she doesn't comply. There. Keep going. Keep going. So yeah, you're just gonna have to keep going. See, because she's resisting, and you got to show her where the relief is, and then she's gonna start hunting that relief, that place. Right now, she's not hunting it.
Getting all fetched up here.
That's all right. Start again. However you got to do. There. There's a little try. There's a little try compared. No. So when I see there's a little try, roll over and let it be. When she's going through a tough time, trying to understand, I was just telling Will that. Even though you got your plan, right?
Right.
Go around, and there is, and all of a sudden she lets loose and goes forward. I'd stop, because you won't get any because if you keep trying to go forward, she's going to stay resistant.
Okay. I'm teaching her resistance, not.
That's right. That's right. So you just got to even break it down into baby steps even more until she'll get onto it, and she'll get onto it. Believe me. If you present it consistently, she'll get onto it. And see how you're pushing, Will? When you're pushing, that means, here's what that means. First of all, don't push, right? It means that when you got in there too close and he's not moving like you would love him to move away, you're going, well, gosh, get away from me, right? Well, he's not yielding to you, so you don't have to resort to pushing him because you're in too close anyway. That's a dangerous place to be. So use your lead rope at a farther distance to get him to comply. Watch what I'm saying. Say you're going over here, you want those hindquarters to go away, and all of a sudden he's not going, just say, hey, stay away. See, I got a distance in my mind. My horse is staying. There's a distance between him and I. I'm not gonna close the gap. He's gonna get away from me. I'm not gonna get in there and have to push him. He's gonna get away from me. So that just means if you're getting in and he's not moving with your body, with your energy, tap, 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 and all of a sudden he'll say, oh, I need to get away from him. And then you let off. And pretty soon, he's creating the distance because he knows if that distance gets too close, you're going to tap him. He doesn't want to be tapped. Do you follow what I'm saying there?
Yeah. How do I get him to stop hunting Bonita?
Just keep him busy. Redirect his mind. And that's another thing. Redirect his mind. You say, oh, you want to be with that mare? Cool. I'll put you to work. It's the same thing I just said about the barn. I'll put you to work, and then when you maybe quit thinking about that mare, I'll give you a break and scratch on you, and pretty soon you'll say, I'll just stand here better because he doesn't put me to work. You see, it's the same philosophy. That's what I'm saying. You can figure that out if you keep using that same philosophy. Just put him to work. No punishment. You can't force him not to. You can't force him not to want to be around that horse, but you can put him to work. And a horse can pretty much only think of one thing at a time. So if you get really busy with this groundwork, he can't think of that mare. As soon as you stop, he might think about that mare and say, oh, you're thinking about that mare again? Well, I guess we better put you to work. And then all of a sudden his stops his contentness will be longer before he thinks about that mare because he does not want to go to work. But you got to keep consistent and remind him, say, you can have the mare. That's your choice. I don't care if you want to go to that mare or not. But when you start going to that mare, I'm gonna get you so busy you won't think about that mare. So what you're saying is your choice. The mare, quiet, peace, or go to work. And pretty soon he'll say, I'll take you up on right there. I'll take you up right there. See, I'd rather not go to work. And if it means not going by that mare right now, I'd just soon stand. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. So it never changes. Like I said, the principle never changes. You cannot force them not to. I mean, that's a stronger pull than we got. Well, we can't force them to not to do that. So people do try to force them, and then you get mad, and pretty soon you're in a fight with your horse, and nothing is resolved. Zero is resolved. You didn't fix the source of the problem.
Right.
Yep. And the only thing I would say to you, Kelly, on that mare is when you ask her to lead by and you're sending her by, you're awful short on that with your right hand.
Sorry, I didn't hear
You're
what you
awful short. You're awful short on the right hand. It means you're too short. So if you're right here and you're asking him to go forward, that's way too short in my book. See, I want my horse to go out there and see, and if get her away from you, and she's more apt to go out and around you instead of putting her head up and not wanting to go. Yeah, you're way too short.
said.
Put your hand out. She should follow a field. If she doesn't, drive. Drive, drive, drive until she goes forward. Now roll her over. Now that was very good. So the next time you do it, maybe take her a few more steps. Like you can address that situation so she's not prematurely rolling her hindquarters over. Now take her a few more steps, but just a few, and then roll her over, and then incrementally build it up. So finally you got a circle. Finally you got a circle. That looks good, Will. So when it looks good, then do something else because they'll get bored. Yeah, now stop. That was excellent. So here's what I'm saying. When you find and it's up to you because I'm not going to be there to tell you. So you got to use your own judgment. And your judgment with your horse will get better and better by doing that, obviously. But when he's walking like that, smooth and calm, and he's complying with what, don't just see. Then he'll become like one of those dude string horses where they just go and they check out mentally and they'll go, but they don't have anything going on in motion, right? So as soon as he starts walking like you want, you again that principle about then say, hey, you did great. You're walking like I like you. Let's roll you over and give you a break. And then as it gets better, then you can let it go longer and longer. And there'll be a day when you can go on and on and on because he knows in his mind, because of your consistency, that you will honor the fact that at some point you're going to give him a release. See, he'll hunt that. Yeah. So you expand it. You go incrementally, bigger, 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 until it's what you want, right? Just like backing. When I back a horse, I only back him a step or two. Sometimes I'll even release for the try in the beginning, like a colt. And I release for the thought first. If I think he's thinking backwards by kind of shifting, I'll release. Well, that's not a real backup, but that's where it has to start. And eventually, as I release and he understands that I'm going to release for that every step on that backup, I could back him all the way across the arena at some point, but not in the beginning. You break it down into baby steps, everything, and then you build. As you see your horse getting more confident in you and doing it, then you build. Because that's up to you. You don't want to. I mean, if you're just going to sit there and move her over for 3 steps and roll her over and not ever progress her to get her go around in a full circle, you're not making any progress. So every chance you get, and she's starting to get better, just ask a little more of her.
So what do we do when we get to the point we've got it. It's clear we've got it. She's doing the ask. It's knowing about what to do next. Because sometimes you see, I find, when I work with them, when they do it, I try to stop there. They've got it.
Right.
It's clear. But if I keep pushing, which sometimes you're like, well, let's do it again, or let's do it again, and that's where the resistance comes.
That's right. Exactly.
I don't want to do it again.
That's right.
Or I've already got this. Is that boredom, or is frustration, or
all the above?
All the above.
Yeah. So that's why I don't like the word training, even though that you're a horse trainer when you train horses, because the word training kind of has a negative reply because to me, it's like you got to drill them. You got to drill them to get there. There's no drilling here. So once you get this going, like this, you get this going. And I'm just for an example, I'm going to say I got him going around in a circle. He's traveling calm forward and smooth. I can roll him over softly. Softly. I release. I ask for the other side. He appears to be doing good right now. We're connected. He's doing exactly what I want. So I roll him over. I'm good. Now, if there's resistance and he finally gets it a couple steps, I want to get it to where it's a little better. But if he starts out that soft, we're done with that exercise. We are done. I will go on to the more advanced. That's what I'm trying to say. I start with this and then I'll advance the move. The advanced move is, you guys know what the advanced move after I get that?
So you've done the hindquarters, so now you're going to work on
That's right. So I've got that initial hindquarters. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, as they say. I'm going to let that go and let him say, you know what, you did good on that. So let's do another move that's pretty close to that, but it's give him something to think about, a little different. There's the front. Right? And if he does it good, he did that one good, right? If he didn't, I'd work on it a little bit more. Pause. He did that one good. I'm good. So I got the hindquarters to roll first time. He complied, and he did it softly and willingly. And look at him, see, coming up here. Yeah, you get a rub. And then he did the hind and the front good. I go on to the next move. I don't belabor that, see, because you're right, absolutely right. He will get cranky.
They'll give it to you. You know, like when we came in this morning, we did it. And then the more I tried to do it, that's when we got to the sticky point. It was like, I did it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's almost like you start without intentionally. I'm not trying to get into loggerheads with my horse, but she's like, I already did what you asked. Like, how many times are you going to make me do this?
Yeah.
And so what is the next step once you've done, you know, the walk, you've done rolling the hindquarters, and you've even crossed, you know, in
Okay.
front?
That's a great question. There's a good question. So what I would do is I'd work on my backup.
Okay.
And there's two ways I work on my backup. I work at it from a distance because I found out that this is much more practical and useful to work at a distance, because you might want to get your horse to back up, but you don't want to go over to your horse and actually get right. Yeah, but I do both of them. So how do I get my horse to back up? I just create a little energy in this lead rope, and I do it straight up and down. See how he's thinking about, I would release for that. He knows how to do it really good. But did you see him think about when he felt that energy go down that rope, how he shifted back and took a step? That's the first step, and I'd give him a break on that. Okay? And then I'd see, can you get a little crisper? Because it took me about 3 shakes, right? So I'm just asking, I want you a little bit more punctual, just a little bit. I said, you're doing good, but I want to be able to come in here. There, that was a little better. It only took a couple. Now, you see my body language? My body language, I raise up. The energy in my body comes, and I'm coming this way. My whole body is coming at him, not just the rope. And I'm not threatening him like this, but I'm not sitting there like this going, would you back up? No, I mean, I want to get to your feet, horse. I want to get there, and you see, I'll just help him there. I was good. That's one way of doing it, right? And you get that to where it weighs nothing. It weighs nothing. There. And I'll say left, and I release for every step, just like I was telling you yesterday. Release. Come on. So I'll say hustle a little bit. There. And once he starts hustling, I'll let him hustle 1 or 2 steps, and I reward him for hustling, because the last thing he remembers when he backed up is when he hustled, I released. So that he's more apt to search to hustle, see? Now, I don't want him to hustle all the time. I might want him to back up slow, but I need him to hustle if I need him to hustle. So I'm going to say slow, hustle, 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 hustle. There. Now I asked for a few more steps. Now he wasn't real comfortable. His head was up. He wasn't working on a feel. He was a little bit concerned. So I would keep working on that to answer your other question until he started to soften. I wouldn't just say, "Oh, you backed up," but your head was up and you're not soft. So let me see if I can get that a little bit better. And as soon as you try to be softer while you're hustling, that's a little better. I might get out right there and say, okay, that's good enough for today. We'll work on it. We'll work on it again tomorrow. Yeah.
I have another question. So Bonita here, we think she's maybe between 14 and 20, somewhere in there, according to the vet. And she's obviously had a life long before me, 14 years of it, And other people have worked with her, other people have trained her, other people have done all kinds of stuff with her, ridden her, and what have you.
Wait, if you could move out of the way so that that camera can see Kelly while she's asking this question. Yeah, yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah,
I forgot that thing was
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
So, when I've read a lot, and some books say use verbal cue in conjunction with a physical cue. So, for example, and walk. So you're asking for the walk.
That's done a lot. Yeah, absolutely,
Or
absolutely,
and trot.
yeah,
Or
absolutely.
and
Or whoa,
yeah.
yeah.
Or whoa and whoa. Yeah. Or and back. So there's that. And then when I rode her, I found she was like a clicker horse. She didn't respond to any of the ands. Even the physical cue, what she responded to was a click or a cluck. And I don't do that with my other horses, but that's what I found was for her. So, how is it just simply I'm teaching to my new method, and that we're just going to keep working on this until she understands this new language, so to speak?
Absolutely. Now, exactly, you're right on the money. So, but by going back to the verbal stuff, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can use that later, but I would rather you get her a feeling of you and your energy and your angles without that in the beginning. And then as more refinement goes, if you so choose and you want to use those, absolutely. But if you start relying on those verbal cues, what I find in people is they quit using themselves. They want to go to that. It's a crutch. It becomes a crutch instead.
It's easier to say it.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, because they don't want to go. And a lot of I notice he'll get him going, and it's not a bad thing, but it just I have to let him know. I notice that when he doesn't go, he starts talking to me like, "Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on," and that's because what he's doing with his body and his lead rope isn't effective enough. So he's trying to figure out how do I? I'll just I'll just
How do I communicate?
yeah. So communicate with the body first, and the energy first, and the angles wherever you're at, and then add that to it. And believe me, because they'll respond so much more consistently in the life of your riding with them and handling them with your body as opposed to the voice. They may or may not respond to the voice if you just solely did that, but they will respond to your body and your energy and how you maneuver your legs and your reins and all that first. Yeah, and then add that to it, and you can get as elaborate as you want with verbal cues. They're just like a dog; they'll learn all kinds of things if you if you do the maneuver first, and then associate that verbal with what you're doing. Absolutely.
So, if I were to make, for lack of a better term, a comprehensive list of all the things that I want to be able to accomplish, fundamentally, when I'm teaching a skill, I'm going to start it on the ground first, long before I started in
Yeah.
the saddle
Yeah.
first. And
Now, but there are good horsemen and horsewomen that are able to do it on their back first. There's no rule that says you can't do it on their back. If you're handy enough, you can do it from their back.
If you're skilled enough.
Yeah, and but then you're missing a whole. Even though you're skilled enough, I still would recommend groundwork because there's no. Yeah, it's just a bridge. It's just a bridge, and why not? Why not get your horse as thorough as you can? In the old timers, they'd snub them down, snub a horse. The old cowboys in the old days, and they'd get on, they'd buck through it, and ride them. And pretty soon they'd get them broke to ride, and they'd get all their work done. But they didn't do any groundwork, zero. So if you were trying to send him around, some really broke horse that was a good cowboy horse, and you said, "Hey, guy, can you send him around and roll those hindquarters over?" His horse couldn't do it.
Because you didn't know how.
You didn't know how. Yeah. And so it's up to the individual. But for me, I'm not that skilled. I mean, I know a lot, but I know that I don't know a lot, and I don't want to have to go through force to get that horse to understand when I can do the groundwork and help him understand in a soft, willing way.
Is there a place for lunging in this method?
Well, lunging is something I've never done, but but if you lunge with purpose, yes. But if you just lunge them around like a lot of people do, just lunge them like Jay lunges. She comes from the English where she lunges with purpose, and her lunging is very effective. And it's not unlike this groundwork we're doing.
Right.
She'll get the upward and downward transitions, and she doesn't get them, she's not trying to gas them out and wear them out before she gets on. And a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
They got a high-bred horse, and they haven't rode him in a week, and then they come to the stable, and they want to ride their horse. And I get it, hadn't been turned out, and it's like a wildcat. They'll just run him and run him and run him around, on the lunge line. But lunge with purpose, just like this. Use the principles, absolutely. So I'd start out with a slow walk, then a trot. Do your work on your upward and downward transitions on the end of that lunge line. Make sure you got your lunge whip. If you use a whip, I'm sure you do. Yeah, just the same thing as my tail of my rope or my flag. That means drive. You're driving them forward. When you put your whip down in a neutral position, that means things are good. They shouldn't go any faster or any slower if you're not asking. They should just kind of rate. Yeah, and you can do a lot of things. She teaches her horses. She'll put a couple little baby jumps in here, and she'll send them around on lunge line, and absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've done was, as you said, lunge with purpose. So I found when we lunge, I found that with the horses to be a really good way just to communicate physically.
Absolutely.
I try to keep my mouth as quiet as possible, and we started a walk, and then we increased the energy to get to a trot. And then, if we can, we even get to a canter and increase the energy more. And then also to work backwards.
Downward transitions. And the whole thing is, number one is connection first. So is that horse staying connected when you're lunging them?
Are we together?
Yeah, if they're just lunging like that and their head's cocked to the outside of the pen and they're just going because they know they got to run, they're not connected.
They're not connected to you.
But if they're feeling of you and you're feeling of them, they're connected. You bet, absolutely. Because it's just
the jumps and things like that. I found that from the ground especially when there's a horse that's like, well, I've never done this before, and I find a nice ask, to teach. I'll run with them. I'll jump over with them.
Yeah, good stuff.
Indicate and sort of say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I understand you might not know, so let me show you. And we'll go together.
Right.
I also try to work where we don't have any apparatus on, and I'll ask, we'll walk together. So there's a connection of come with me, and I'll point or turn, and we'll do together, or slow, or drop your head, or so
excellent.
Stuff like that.
Man, that's great stuff. You bet. Yeah, and build on that. I'm all about that. And when they're walking with you, he was a little. I'm not going to be critical, but he was a little late, right? Just a tick. Now he's not.
Right.
So he goes, okay. You caught me by surprise. I was kind of daydreaming over here. Yeah. But so I'm looking for that connection all the time, and without being critical, I try to get that connection more punctual and more punctual and more punctual as we go. So yes, so that it looks like I'm not doing anything, but he's feeling of me and he's moving off that feel. So it's a feel following a feel. That's eventually.
That's really what Dorrance was saying when he talks about the feel. Is he's feeling your maybe intention, your desire, you're going to go forward, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So he picks up on that.
Yeah.
That nuance.
And again, that's something that only you and your horse can do, and that's a pretty good description of it. Yeah, because if you start talking, you got to have a feel, and people go, what are you talking about? That's kind of esoteric, But what you're saying is that, and horses have that innately in them. We humans have to develop that. I found out more. We do too, but we have to develop it. They already have it. They already have a feel. But if they're not feeling of us, it's not because of them. It's because of us. Yeah. So we've got to adjust the way we approach them so that we can establish that connection. Because ultimately, that's the ultimate connection. Yeah. And let me get to one more time on the back up before I forget, and then I'll let you ask another question. That's the first one, right? So you want to get that going. A lot of people do this. It's okay, but I'd rather see you come straight like this, and then you come in. See, he's already starting to prepare. See, he's preparing. Good. And I'd release for that because, man, that's a feel following a feel. The other way to back up Will, here's this. You might hear. Listen to this. This is the other way to get your horse to back up. Did I show you this yesterday? Okay. Turn your hand over like this, not like this. And it's very important that you don't do it like this. You do it like this. And the reason being is you can grab that bottom of that halter, right? Now, if you need to your backup plan, I'm not going to squeeze hard. I'm going to ask for a softness, left and right. There he backed up, so I let off. If he didn't,